Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be filming my second booktube video ever, and I figured what better thing to jump into than a Amazon book haul. So these are all books that have come recommended to me through Instagram. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it is up here in the corner for you guys. So some come from that, some are coming from friends, some are coming from booktok. Nonetheless, there are a lot, and I'm excited to tell you guys about them today. I will start with the book that I'm actually currently reading, and this is called Homegoing by Gyasi. I just happened to see the cover of it while I was going through the fiction section, and it automatically caught my eye. I looked it up on Goodreads. It had like 4.5, which is, I feel, pretty hard to attain on Goodreads. This book follows the lives of two sisters, and these sisters will never meet each other. It's in the 18th century, and it's based in Ghana. One of the sisters goes on to marry an Englishman and lives a life of like comfort and luxury in many ways, and the other sister will actually be captured by Englishmen and sold into slavery and lead a life of a lot of trials and tribulations and pain. Each chapter you're following the next generation. So you'll start off with both of the sisters, and then they'll have kids, and the next chapter will be about the life of the kid from their perspective, and then they'll get married and have kids, and then you're following the next generation. She writes in such a way that I am just so absorbed by. That's the first book. The next book is called The Push, and this is the one that I picked up at the airport when my boyfriend and I were heading to Hawaii. Where were we going? We flew out of Burbank. Oh, we were going to Vegas, never mind. This book automatically caught my attention when I read the back of it because I was like, what is this even talking about? This is about a woman named Blythe Connor who is convinced that she's going to be just the best, most comforting mother to her new baby, Violet. She begins to question if there's something off about Violet. Is there actually something going on with Violet, or are people just like, are they not believing her? Her husband Fox is dismissing her thoughts, so she's like, yeah, maybe this is all in my head. And then it basically says that their lives just completely change and that there's this very devastating fallout, and Blythe is now forced to face the truth of her life and her surroundings. I literally have no idea what this is about, but I was like, that's gonna be a good read for the flight. Didn't read it on the flight, but TBR for sure. The next book is Crying in Hmart by Michelle Zauner, and this came highly recommended by a friend who knew that I would be able to relate to this book in many ways. This is a memoir by the artist Japanese Breakfast, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that her mom passed away from cancer. This is supposed to be a candid coming of age story. It's supposed to show her grapples with pulling away from her Korean identity and then falling back into it. I am very excited but nervous to read this book because I've heard a lot of people cried reading this, and I just know that I will be in absolute ruins reading this, so I'm kind of saving this for when I'm ready. I lost my mom. She had cancer when I was 17 years old. It was stage 4 inoperable, and I was living with her during that time. It was just her and I can already tell that this is going to be something that I can really relate to, and I think that's what makes me the most nervous because in a lot of ways I have separated myself from the loss of my mom and really have created a new identity and a new life. It's a lot easier to run away from things than to face them head on. So, not that you asked for that, but that is why I am taking my sweet time getting to this book. I have no doubt that it's going to be absolutely incredible. I just don't know if I'm ready for it yet, but I have it on my shelf just waiting for its time to be read. Next book is called The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and I still honestly don't even know how to explain this book to you. He joins this very small private college and comes across this Greek teacher. There's a group of eccentric misfits that are working under him, and in the study of Greek, they kind of go into their own world and their own experience and adapt their own mindset. And it says they slip gradually from obsession to corruption and betrayal, and at last inexorably into evil. And in the prologue, the first sentence says, "The snow in the mountains was melting, and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation." I've heard so many good things. So many of you guys have recommended this book. I'll get back to it. The next book is called Where the Crawdads Sing, and this is by Delia Owens. I've heard about this book so many times, and from what I understand, this is being adapted into a movie, or the movie is being released, I want to say in July. This book is about a girl named Kaya. She is known or rumored to be the Marsh Girl, and it's kind of like, you know, people think that she's haunting Berkeley Cove, which is the area that this takes place in. Late in 1969, a handsome man by the name of Chase Andrews is found dead, and people naturally turn to her as an automatic suspect. And she ends up meeting these two young men who are just like totally entranced by her beauty, and she begins to open herself up to this new life until something unthinkable happens. And I believe that that's kind of where this book leaves us off in terms of what can we expect from this storyline. It is supposed to be a heartbreaking coming of age story with a really good plot twist. Again, I've heard so many great things about this book, so I really hope it doesn't disappoint, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Next book, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The first book that I read by her was obviously The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and that is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I got so emotionally attached to the characters. It was the love story and plot twist that I personally didn't know I needed in my life. So naturally, all of her other books are gaining a lot of popularity. So I was between this and Daisy Jones and the Six, but I pulled towards this one because I heard that one of the characters from The Seven Husbands actually is featured in this book, so I was naturally like, oh, okay, I gotta have this. We're in Malibu. It's August 1983. This gal, Nina Rivas, is having her annual end of summer party, and everybody wants to be around her because she is just this gorgeous supermodel and surfer that just exudes like hot girl energy, I'm assuming. By midnight, this party will be complete chaos. The Riva mansion will have literally gone up in flames. I know that this is gonna be so good, and Taylor Jenkins Reid is an incredible author based off of the one book I've read by her and all the positive notes I've heard about others, so I am absolutely thrilled to dive into this. And then my very last book is called American Dirt, and this is by Janine Cumming. This is following the life of a woman named Lydia Perez, and she lives in a Mexican city called Acapulco. Not me trying to sound Spanish. She runs a bookstore. She has a son named Luca. She has an incredible husband who is a journalist, and she lives a very comfortable life. One day, a man by the name of Javier comes in and purchases a couple of books from her. But little does she know, he is the jefe, which I'm assuming is like the boss, the big man, the guy that gets things done, of the new massive drug cartel that is causing chaos in her city. So, being that her husband is a journalist, reporter, he publishes a tell-all on Javier, and this is going to make it so that none of their lives will ever be the same. I'm assuming her husband is going to be murdered, and she has to get away from Javier, and she's going to be trying to flee to North America. I've heard mixed reviews about this book, but I hope it doesn't disappoint. It was clearly a bestseller for a reason. Those are going to be all of my books from my Amazon haul, and I can't wait to jump into them. If you guys have any book recommendations or any recent books that you've picked up, please feel free to share them down below. I'm trying to get back into thriller and fantasy and even try out romance at some point, which is really crazy for me because I'm not a romance girl, as you can tell by the selection of these books. But feel free to leave any recommendations, and thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!